is quite significant changes that will impact a lot of people. Increasing the salary threshold. Now, to explain why there is a salary threshold at all, it just really quickly, is that basically the immigration system we have, it's called a points-based system, but it would be better described as an employer sponsorship system. So skilled migrants who are coming in to do work in the UK have to be sponsored by an employer. So that means that the government sets a level at which the employer has to be paying the salary of the migrant before they can sponsor that visa. So raising it from 26,000 to 38,000 is pretty straightforward. It means that sort of employers and businesses outside of London will now find it much more difficult to sponsor any migrant workers. It means that smaller and medium-sized businesses will find it much more difficult to sponsor workers. Basically, just people earning at a much higher level will be entitled to come to the UK. And that does make up some significant part of the figures, but it's not the most significant group. The most significant groups of migrants are actually excluded from the minimum salary threshold for different reasons, be that because they're refugees being protected from Ukraine or Hong Kong, be it because they're students, or be it because they work in areas of the economy where the government says, well, we just need workers so badly that we can't imply that rule.
And there's also stuff about dependents and whether they're going to be able to come over with people.
Yeah, exactly. So what they've said is they're going to continue to exempt health and social care workers from that minimum salary threshold, but those workers will no longer be entitled to bring, now up until now they have been entitled to come along with their spouse and their children under 18. That will no longer be the case. They will have to come here and leave their family members behind in order to care for our own family members in our care system, which will be a significant decrease in the numbers because on average, there's sort of about, for each care worker that has come to work in the UK, on average, they've brought along one dependent with them, be that a child or a spouse. Cleverly justified this in Parliament yesterday by saying only about 25% of those dependents actually work when they come here. I mean, obviously, a very significant proportion of dependents are children, and that will be why they don't work. But yes, that will have an impact not only on just the numbers themselves, because it reduces the number of people who come on each visa, but also obviously on our ability to recruit care workers. There's still 150,000 vacancies in the social care system. And then the other bits that he announced yesterday that I think it's really important to focus on are the shortage occupation list and the family migration, aside from care workers. So the family migration rules that he changed, he increased the minimum income threshold for British citizens who fall in love with and marry a foreigner to be able to bring that spouse or those children to the UK to live here with them. So that was at £18,600 per year. It's now gone up to match the minimum salary threshold for skilled workers. So if you don't earn £38,000 per year and you fall in love with a foreigner, well, you have to go live abroad with them. You can't bring your spouse to the UK as a British citizen unless you earn that much, which is twice the minimum wage. So that's going to have a big impact on a few British families, basically. And then finally, the shortage occupation list, very important. This one was the only one that was a little bit unclear, still to be determined in the details. Basically, there's a research body called the Migration Advisory Committee, and they are tasked with doing research into what would improve the immigration system for the government. And a few months ago, they were asked to review the shortage occupation list, which, as I say, is this list of jobs where you don't have to pay the minimum salary threshold in order to bring a migrant to work here. And the Migration Advisory Committee said this is it's not named correctly anymore. It used to be about shortage occupations. It used to be about looking into where the needs are in our economy. And ultimately, it's just become a migration discount list. So the Migration Advisory Committee's advice was to either go down the route of sort of how the Australians look at shortage occupations, which is to do a more holistic assessment of what skills and training needs are required in the economy and what needs for training up local citizens are coming down the line, and also which areas would be appropriate for bringing in migrant labour as well, because we can train only so many people, and at the end of the day, economies like ours do rely also on migration. So they recommended doing that, and they said if you don't do that, then you might as well just call it a migration discount list. And what Cleverly announced yesterday seems to be that they've chosen the second option, that they are going to keep the list. They're going to change its name to an immigration salary discount list, and they're going to reassess who's on it. But at the moment, so care workers are on that list, construction workers are on that list, and various types of sort of specific scientists and other areas where we vets, other areas of our economy where we really have a serious need and shortage of the skills available.
Thanks very much. That's a really useful overview. That's Zoe Gardner, independent researcher on migration.